this is New Time on Silkway TV channel. We introduce you with the most visible news and important events that happened throughout this week in Kazakhstan and Central Asia. More details on politics, economy, social and cultural life with opinions from the most recognizable experts of Kazakhstan and world. I'm Dorian Sagulov and this is what you'll see today. 70,000 participants from 15 countries gathered in Almaty for the largest IT forum in Central Asia, Digital Bridge 2024, how Kazakhstan is innovating its technology industry. Germany will collaborate with Kazakhstan in the field of energy transition, climate change crisis and its solutions in an interview with a special envoy of the German federal government on climate, Jennifer Morgan. Kazakh language will be included in the curriculum of University of Oxford. How did this come about? Find out in an interview of the Kazakh Minister of Science and Higher Education, Sayasat Nurbek. The 6th International Digital Forum is underway in Almaty, uniting over 200 experts and leading startups in IT and business. The extensive business program covers digital transformation and industry, GovTech, Industry 4.0, ESG and Smart City. Statements from SCO and EA/EU countries gathered for the forum, featuring 40 panel sessions. The three-day event includes an exhibition showcasing Kazakhstan's major subsoil users, technoparks and technology companies, sharing insights into IT ecosystem projects. The well-known Kazakh company in the IT sector, Sergek Group, also participated at Digital Bridge in Almaty. The primary focus of the company is on developing digital solutions in the smart city domain, which involves creating technologies for public and road safety, transportation and ecology. Alena Tkachenko, the head of global markets at the Sergek Group, joins us from Almaty. Hello, Alena, how can you hear me?
Hello, it's all good, thank you.
Great. You are currently participating in the main IT forum in Central Asia. Tell us what is happening there. What are the participants discussing?
Sure. So Digital Almaty is a very extensive exhibition. I think it's one of the two most important exhibitions that we have in Kazakhstan for tech people. I'm very delighted to see here a variety of topics on ESG. I see topics on corporate responsibility. I see topics on e-government for sure, because e-government, we do it really well as the country. And I also do see delegates coming from very different parts of the world. That is exciting to me personally. I see people from Africa. I see people from Sierra Leone, for example. I see people coming from Saudi Arabia, Emirates, from Indonesia. I believe it's a great event happening here.
Great. Since this forum is about high technologies, I can't help but ask you about the trending face recognition systems and machine learning. How are these types of IT solutions integrating into everyday life here in our country? Maybe you can share with us your experience, please.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for such an interesting question. And I think it's also a very important question to look for, because typically when we talk big data, when we talk computer vision, visual recognition, or AI, we are talking about something that is quite high over there. However, on our side, from Sergek, for example, we do use it every day, and consumers also can see it in the everyday solution. For example, when we're detecting number plates of the cars, we're using computer vision, we're using AI and machine learning technologies. And this is what happens with each and every car number plate every day. We also do use computer vision recognition for our BMS system, for ITS, which is traffic planning, traffic forecasting. We're using AI to be able to plan transport routes efficiently. So as you can see, technology, AI sounds cool, but AI is also very, very pragmatic, and we do know it very well.
May I ask you this? As far as I know, you've launched pilot project in Indonesia. Could you please tell us more about it? What is this project about?
Yeah, sure. This is something that we officially announced at the Digital Almaty just yesterday. I'm very delighted that we have done this POC launch. It's a launch with administration of Nusantara. And Nusantara is an upcoming capital for Indonesia and also a sister city for Astana. So we do have many ties with in between Astana and Nusantara. And on our side, we're really happy because Astana is the city where Sergey's story started. This is where we really brought in not only our tech, but also our approach to people and processes building. And we're looking forward to implement what we know, our know-how in Nusantara as well. POC will be having place nearby Nusantara in the city called Balikpapan, almost Bali, but has Papan at the very end of it.
Cool, super cool. And last but not least, Alena, what is your vision on the development of tech industry in Kazakhstan? How do you think?
Overall, I think we have gone a long way because when I'm comparing the state of our startups, state of our developed companies to what it has been like 10 years ago, I see that it's been a long way. And I also, whenever I come to the countries abroad, I'm always saying, guys, maybe you don't know many things about Kazakhstan, but there is one thing we do exceptionally good as the country. Our online services, our e-government is like really well developed. We're number 8 in the world in doing this really well. So I think it's very important to nurture this infrastructure of tech companies that we currently have in the country to help them grow, to help them develop. And I'm also pleased to see that with time, we're looking more and more to exporting our solutions. So we're talking nowadays not only about Kazakhstan, but we also talk what can we do in Uzbekistan? How can we grow in Tajikistan? What about Mongolia? Like, for example, on Sergey's side, we do already have a project working in Uzbekistan. So I'm happy that we are way more developed. I'm looking forward to growing outside of Kazakhstan. I think this is the next big milestone. And I also think it's very important that government has been supportive to all the tech companies. And I just hope that we'll see the same approach in the future.
Thank you, Alena. It was a pleasure to talk to you. According to the World Bank report, by the year 2050, Central Asia may see the emergence of 2.5 million internal migrants. The cause of such a significant crisis will be climate. Scientists link the extreme vulnerability of the Central Asian region to the consequences of the climate change. Glacier melting, land desertification and consequently disputes over water resources might with high possibility become a major concern for the 5 Central Asian countries in the years to come. Experts say that climate change processes are already irreversible, but joint efforts can diminish their consequences. More details on this extremely important topic I'll share with you in our special explainer section we recorded earlier this week. The World Meteorological Organization has reported that 2024 could become the hottest year on a record, surpassing the temperature record set in 2023. These are the consequences of climate change, and it's a bad call for Central Asia. The countries in the region are highly dependent on water resources. Glacier reduction and the desertification of rivers and lands could be the cause of water shortages in the coming decades, said Bulat Yesekin, a climate expert and a former coordinator for the UN on sustainable development.
It's, of course, water sector. water sector is most sensitive from climate change, from changes of temperature. And for Kazakhstan, it's been in Central Asia deficit of water and a reduction of water flow from mountain, from glaciers.
Rivers like Sirdarya and Amudarya are the crucial water arteries for the region. The Asian Development Bank has predicted a 10 to 15% decline in water volumes in both rivers by 2050. Water scarcity will lead to changes in all aspects of human activity, from reduced agricultural productivity to a slowdown in urbanization and causing mass migration. These challenges will affect all Central Asian countries. Experts suppose that disputes over water resources and other direct consequences of climate change may arise even before 2050.
Before we expected prognosis, it was a lot prognosis that we will have such consequences in 10, 20, 30 years, 50 years. But now all of them, it was very optimistic. So we expect all these dramatic changes during next several years till 2030, because climate change it's much faster than we expected.
While climate change is considered irreversible, the global community is taking various measures to diminish its consequences. Central Asian countries, recognizing the severity of the climate crisis, actively participate in the implementation of international environmental programs. At the recent COP28, Kazakhstan and France announced to launch the One Water Summit, which will be held on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly this year. Parties will discuss a cooperation on key water issues. It is also worth noting Kazakhstan's chairmanship in the International Fund for Saving the Aral Sea, once the fourth largest inland body of water in the world. Kazakhstan's initiative to join the global commitment to reduce methane emissions, announced by the head of state Kassym-Jomart Tokayev at the COP28, is a necessary step in the global fight against climate change. It's important to note, according to World Bank data, that Central Asia is responsible for only 1.8% of global emissions, indicating that the efforts of the countries are not in vain. Water security issues in Central Asia are a top priority for Kazakhstan's climate agenda, said Jennifer Morgan, the State Secretary and Special Envoy for International Climate Action at the German Federal Foreign Office. Following the COP28 agenda, Ms. Morgan made a working visit to Central Asian countries to coordinate climate goals for the next few years. At last year's UN Climate Change Conference, countries for the first time assessed the progress of the Paris Agreement to adjust the global green transition. To learn more about climate crisis solutions and the energy transit in Germany, please check out the interview of Jennifer Morgan. Ms. Morgan, thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here. Let me start from this question. Following the agenda of COP28 in Dubai, what is an urgent call for climate change action in this region, in our country?
Well, we're seeing around the world and in this region that we really are in a climate crisis, that issues of water, lack of water, drought, temperature decreases in the winter, very hot summers, extreme events, they're costing billions of dollars, euros, et cetera, around the world. And I think for this region particularly, the issue of water and water security and water availability is front and center. And so the last COP really put a call to action, and we all decided together that we have to change course, that we need to transition away from fossil fuels into the renewable energy economy, and we need to be more resilient. So we need to build resilience into everything that we do.
How do you see the further cooperation, participation of Central Asian countries in this global climate change agenda?
Well, it's been excellent from Germany's perspective to be working with the countries from Central Asia. We have worked together on Green Central Asia, which is looking at the impacts of climate change on water systems here and how countries can be collaborating together on that. So that's part of it, is really creating that resilience here and that collaboration in the region. But also together on that future of renewable energy, green hydrogen, how the region can be a big part of the solutions over time, which is a challenge, but I think is one that Germany and the European Union is very interested in exploring.
Addressing the issues of water deficit and climate change, how can we find what is the long-term solution, maybe with the help of international community? How do you think?
I think there's many different parts of that. I think part of that, of course, is looking at how one can be more efficiently using water so that your water usage goes down and efficiency measures there. Part of it is protecting nature. And my goodness, what nature there is in this region, and that the environment is really also a natural resource to be protected, also for water, so that you can be preserving that so that you have the adequate quantities moving forward. And the other is to be part of the global community that's really reducing the emissions, the pollution that causes the climate crisis as a whole, because that will then reduce the impacts on water systems here as well.
Speaking of energy transition, what is needed to be done on governmental level in this region, in our country in particular? Because, as you know, Kazakhstan is heavily dependent on the production of fossil fuel.
I think I can speak from the German experience. Also, we have a long experience of coal in our country, and we've been working to phase out coal by 2030 and replace it with renewable energy, with wind and with solar. We would dream to have the resources that Kazakhstan has in wind and solar to build out renewable energy. So part of it is working for a just transition with workers to have alternative jobs, because the jobs actually in renewable energy, they are massive and they're growing around the world. And I think the government, working with others, can put in place the policies that can move that forward step by step in a socially just way, work with global partners like Germany on things like green hydrogen, but building up that renewable energy capacity. There's lots of know-how all around the world that would, I'm sure, be keen to work with the government on how to make that shift away from fossil fuels, as we all agreed to at the last COP.
How can you evaluate the actions that Kazakhstan is taking to fight this global agenda, climate change agenda?
I see the ambition, I see the net zero goal, I see the putting in place the different policies. I think it's now time for all of us, including Kazakhstan, to be scaling that up. We all have to put our next plan on the table in the next year of how we're going to increase renewables, how we're going to transition in a just way away from fossil fuels for the international community. And so there, I think there's a great opportunity for the government to think, how can we be going in this direction for the future long-term prosperity of our country?
Ms. Morgan, it was a pleasure to talk to you.
Wonderful
Thank you
to
very
be
much.
here.
Thank you very much. Kazakhstan will sign an agreement with Uzbekistan and China on the joint use of transboundary rivers. The Kazakh Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation, Nurjan Nurjigitov, stated that 7 out of 8 water basins in Kazakhstan are transboundary. Therefore, this measure will contribute to the development of interstate water relations and water security. More details on this and other interesting news topics from Central Asia are in the review of my colleague, political observer Ozhet Shegirbayev. Good evening, Ozhet. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dorian. I'm ready to share my top 3 news topics from Central Asia this week just in a moment. Kazakhstan has adopted the concept of water resource management until 2030. Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation, Mr. Nurjan Nurjigitov, said that by 2030, the development of international cooperation in the field of water resources will become an important aspect of government policy. As part of the implementation of this concept, it's planned to create new and improve existing bilateral and multilateral agreements on the joint use and protection of bordering water resources with neighboring countries. In particular, it's planned to sign agreements between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan on joint management and use of transboundary water bodies, as well as between Kazakhstan and China on the distribution of water river borders. The Senate of the Parliament of the Republic of Kazakhstan approved amendments to the protocol to the Treaty on the Eurasian Economic Union. This protocol provides a one-year extension of the deadlines for Kyrgyzstan for the arrangement and material and technical equipment of checkpoints at the customs border of the Eurasian Economic Union. Initially, 14 checkpoints were subject to modernization. At the moment, work remains at one checkpoint only on the border with Tajikistan. And previously, the deadlines for Kyrgyzstan were extended in 2018, 2019, 2021 and 2023. On January 31, Kazakhstan adopted a law on ratification of the protocol with the amendments to the intergovernmental agreement with Uzbekistan on the conditions of mutual travel of citizens, dated July 7, 2000. Thus, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan are increasing the mutual period for stay of their citizens in the territory of neighboring country without registration from 5 to 30 days. That's all from my part for today, Dorian. Giving floor back to you.
Thanks. That was political observer Ozhet Shegerbayev with his weekly review on key news topics from Central Asia. European and international financial institutions revealed plans to invest 10 billion euros in the development of the Trans-Caspian International Transport Route. This was announced at first ever Global Gateway Investors Forum for EU Central Asia Transport Connectivity that took place earlier in Brussels. The forum united high-level representatives from the EU, Central Asia, Caucasus, Turkey and G7 countries, along with businesses and civil society. What did parties agree for? My colleague Balzhan Samigulina is ready to share.
The first ever EU Central Asia Investors Forum was plentiful on agreements. Over the 2 days event, the European Investment Bank signed Memorandum of Understanding for project co-financing with Kazakhstan, Kyrgyz Republic, Uzbekistan and the Development Bank of Kazakhstan. Valdis Dombrovskis, Executive Vice President of the European Commission, in his forum speech emphasized that the efforts the EU has dedicated to collaboration with Central Asian countries in the last 2 years.
The EU is already the region's largest investment partner. EU countries account for more than 42% of total foreign direct investment in Central Asia. That is more than the United States, Russia or China. The EU is a second trading partner in countries in the region. Over the last year, our relationships have seen good progress, including on trade and connectivity.
In further developments, the European Investment Bank Global is also set to invest 500 million euros in Kazakhstan's transport sector. The Minister of Transport of Kazakhstan has already formally entered into such agreement. It's worth noting that Kazakhstan plays a crucial role in so-called Middle Corridor. In 2023, the cargo transportation volume between Kazakhstan and the EU surged by 25%, reaching 4.3 million tons. Minister of Transport Marat Karabayev shared insight into the forum's agenda exclusively with Silkway TV channel.
The primary goal was to explore the potential of the Trans-Caspian International Transport Route. In a dedicated session in Brussels, we informed European investors and company representatives about Kazakhstan's strengths. The discussions focused on attracting funds for key areas like road constructions, the aviation industry and the railway transport sector.
EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy Josep Borrell said that Kazakhstan is the most dynamic economy in the region and emphasized that the agreement between EIB Global and Kazakhstan will foster economic convergence between the EU and Kazakhstan.
The greatest and the most dynamic economies in Central Asia. It is the one who will have the stronger potential from the Trans-Caspanian route. It's the one who is more interested on building new infrastructures in order to boost connectivity and to be able to participate with its enormous economic potential in our relations. I'm happy that today a memorandum has been signed with the European Investment Bank
Connectivity between EU and Central Asia is currently important for many perspectives. The development of the Middle Corridor is now a crucial part of the increased and deepened EU-Central Asian cooperation, but there is still high expectation for further progress in this direction. Balzhan Samigulina, Nauruz Bazarov, New Time.
Scholars from Kazakhstan are set to teach Kazakh at Oxford University from September onward, as it's recognized as a priority Turkic language for research, said Minister of Science and Higher Education Sayasat Nurbek in an exclusive interview to the New Time reporter Balzhan Samigulina. Why a top university is delving into comparative studies on Kazakh? Watch the fragment of the interview right now.
Thank you for having us. Recently we got a wonderful news that Kazakh will be taught in Oxford University. Can you please share the details? How did it become possible?
Oxford University has launched an initiative on Turkic languages. So they started teaching Turkish language, Azeri, Azerbaijani language, and as part of Turkic languages, they couldn't miss Kazakh language. Kazakh language is considered by linguists as one of the purest Turkic languages. So you could trace back the original vocabulary to original Turkic languages. That's why there is a keen interest, there is a genuine interest in studying Kazakh language as this core Turkic language, and you could trace back and do comparative studies. So it was really interesting partnership. We signed an agreement with Wolfson College of Oxford University. So Kazakh language will be taught as part of their official curricula for graduate and postgraduate students, master level students, PhD students, research fellows. The classes will be provided by our researchers from Baitursunov Institution. So every year we'll send 2 to 3 of our researchers who will be teaching Kazakh language, combined with online teaching from several of our faculty members. And then the graduate students and postgraduate students will have, at Oxford University, will have opportunity to come to Kazakhstan for language internships. With time, we've agreed if numbers of scholars coming and fellows coming to Kazakhstan will increase, we'll expand the internship to several other local universities.
So what is the course date? Can it be expected that it will be in the coming academic year? In
sure, we start this year, this academic year. So the courses will start in September. So now we'll have enough time, just minimum bare time to prepare the curricula, agree, and we'll use Boloshak scholarship program to send our scholars to do an internship. So that's an excellent opportunity. And our scholars will be teaching Kazakh and also doing a research fellowship at Oxford University.
One short question. It will be as obligatory subject or as a discipline of a choice? For this
it is an elective subject, yeah, but there's great interest. There are a lot of students who are really interested in Kazakh language and literature, linguistic studies. So we were in Oxford for 2 reasons. One, signing agreement with Wolfson College, and second, for presenting the first edition of Kazakh Oxford Dictionary. And it was a joint project with Kazakhstan and Oxford University. We were able to tap into Oxford University's rich experience in dictionary making, but also codifying the language. So the problem is the Kazakh language needs to be codified so that we can build our national core, linguistic core, so that we can build our large language model. And large language models are used now to train algorithms like ChatGPT. So it's war of language models nowadays, not the war of algorithms. It's a cornerstone of a very important project to build our very own Kazakh large language model so that we can train our own algorithms and we could join the race of AI, which is happening in the world.
Thank you. That's a great achievement for Ministry of Science of Kazakhstan. But let us switch to the topic of foreign universities in Kazakhstan, which number is gradually increasing. What is the purpose of Ministry for this year? Which top universities we expect to appear to enter our educational field?
Right. So, we have an ambition to position Kazakhstan as academic and research hub of the region. So in terms of academic mobility, we invite a lot of foreign universities to come and open up branches in Kazakhstan by giving a choice, an option for any potential applicant. Last year, we did a great job, basically. We invited about 8. We were able to open 8 foreign branches. This year, we are preparing some really good news. So one, last week, we were able to sign an agreement with Queen's University. It will be the first Russell Group, or the top elite British university, to come to Kazakhstan this year. The real big opening will be for City University of Hong Kong in Almaty. They signed an agreement last year with Satpayev universities. Another good news is for Russian Chemical and Technology University, named after Mendeleev, that famous Mendeleev University, which will be opening in Taraz, Taraz Regional University. And also the very famous Tashkent Institute for Irrigation Engineers. And also Lubang workshops. These are Chinese model of makerspace. We opened one last year in Özkemen, focused on electric cars. Electric car engineers, autopiloting. This year we'll be opening 2 more, focused on robototechnics. There's a new generation car factory opened in Kostanay, the Kias. So we'll be bringing Dong-i, South Korean university, which is working with Hyundai and Kia, and we're opening a branch in Kostanay, so that's another good news. So electric cars, automobile, robotics, artificial intelligence, these are the areas we're focusing in this year.
Last but not least, what does the ministry do in order to promote the brand study in Kazakhstan on international arena, and what are your personal views on that, please?
Now we'll be promoting study in Kazakhstan brand. So next year we're going to have a national pavilion, Kazakhstan pavilion at Betshow and Nafsa. We already agreed and negotiated. Second, we'll be using partnerships with Quacquarelli Simmons, Times Higher Education, these large agencies and ranking organizations who work with hundreds and thousands of universities across the globe. And we're already partnering with them. We signed some partnership agreements, so they will be helping to promote Kazakh universities. And third, we'll be focusing on spot markets, as we call them. India, Uzbekistan, Russia, Turkey, some spot markets where there's interest to study in Kazakhstan. So hopefully, within 3 to 5 years' time, there'll be a strong brand studying Kazakhstan. It is doable. We've analyzed how the different countries did it. My task is to make that good choice happen for many people, young people in our region. Because if they look around and say, yeah, Kazakhstan is a good place to go, it's a good destination. So anyway, it's selling Kazakhstan as academic destination. And that's what we're trying to do.
Full interview with Sayasat Nurbek, Kazakh Minister of Science and Higher Education, is available on our YouTube channel. You can use QR codes on your screens to immediately access it. That's it for today. All the main news about Kazakhstan and Central Asia you can find here. More special projects about our country you can also watch on Silkway TV channel. So stay tuned and see you later.